Are you a prepper or homesteader looking to connect with like-minded people in your area? Looking to start your own preparedness group? Already have a group? Well, look no further than PrepperNet. PrepperNet is dedicated to personal responsibility, individual freedoms, and being self-reliant. PrepperNet has monthly meetings in over 100 cities where you can meet and learn with like-minded people in your area. PrepperNet, where preppers unite. Find us online at preppernet.com.
Run to Old Navy right now to get 30 to 50% off all jeans and all sweaters for everyone in the family. Pair your favorite jeans with any of Old Navy's stylish sweaters and get 30 to 50% off from top to bottom. Every pair of jeans is on sale, including Old Navy Rockstar jeans, and so are the season's best sweaters. All jeans and all sweaters are 30 to 50% off, now at Old Navy or OldNavy.com. But you better hurry, this deal won't last. Run to Old Navy, valid 11/2 to 11/8.
Preppers Asylum is the premier preparedness outfitter. They carry in stock and ship direct the products you're looking for. MREs, freeze-dried food, Kelly kettles, water filtrates, first aid and trauma kits, stoves, personal protection, self-defense supplies, and more. Preppers Asylum are people just like you and I. Find what you're looking for and use promo code PBN at checkout to receive 10% off. That's promo code PBN for 10% off at preppersasylum.com.
You've just joined the Prepper Broadcasting Network, where we promote self-reliance and independence. The views and opinions expressed are strictly those of the host or their guests. Visit us in the interactive chat room at prepperbroadcasting.com.
Good evening, everyone. We got Forrest here, and we got
just say my name.
Kyle. We got Kyle across the table. We are coming to you live tonight from the Prepping Broadcasting Network. The show is called Prepping Academy, and again, we're live every Friday night at 9 p.m. So join us every Friday night, 9 p.m. If you miss us, it goes to a podcast, and you can join us there. So, how was your week, Kyle?
It's pretty good.
It was a great week for you.
It was a great week.
Pretty good week.
Yeah.
So, things are going well for Kyle. Did you work?
Did I work?
Yeah.
On what?
Yeah.
My tan?
Your tan. That's following the Kyle's life story. Hey guys, if you are on Blog Talk Radio, go over to prepperbroadcasting.com. We have an interactive chat that you can you'll be able to ask questions later, and that's prepperbroadcasting.com. Go and join us over there, and then you can get the archive of this on the Prepping Academy. Hey, a couple house notes. Oh, big personality tonight. You're a big fan of this guy.
I am.
Big fan.
I won't lie.
And if you've ever watched the show Alone, we actually have season 1's winner.
Yep.
Maybe he'll read some poetry to us.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome. His name is Alan Kay. He's going to be live with us in just a few seconds, but I got some announcements first. Hey, again, our website is preppingacademy.com. We actually have a contest going on. Again, it's the same contest we ran few months back, giving away the same prizes. Go over there and enter into the contest. All we need is your email address. Then we'll do a random drawing and pick winners again. If you're in the contest for last time, you're automatically registered for this time. It's just fair, right?
Yeah,
it's fair.
Absolutely.
Hey, and a couple of things coming up. Next Friday night, we have Franklin Horton. That's October 21st. He wrote the book series, the Borrowed World series. Met this guy. He is awesome. We're Facebook friends now. It's like pretty cool.
You're such a loser.
I know. He's awesome though. And then the November 18th, we have Chris, Angry American. He wrote the Going Home series, and he was also a contestant on season 1 Alone Show.
Yeah.
So, and then on December 2nd, we have a guy named Ross. He does Survival 401ks. That's more going to be a finance show of how preppers, survivalists, homesteaders can make better use of their money, their 401k, their IRA. And it's a great show, great information. Because what he's talking about on that, I know I've done that. Yeah. And so that's again, Franklin Horton is next weekend, next Friday night, October 21st, and go out and read his books. I mean, the Borrowed World series. He's got I know 3 books in that series. And if you remember, a few weeks ago we had Chin on. Yep. Chin is actually he's written about Chin in the series. It's pretty cool.
We established he hasn't died yet.
He hasn't died yet. And so I'm trying to become friends with him because it'd be so cool if
They totally put me in the book. I don't know about you.
Yeah, they won't put me in the book. So anyway, but that's coming up in the future of our shows. So sounds like you got anything? Oh, guys, usually we talk about Kyle's conspiracy theory of the week, but we got such a huge guest on.
Yeah.
Kyle's like,
I concede.
He concedes, like, I don't even want to talk about it. Let's just talk to Alan. If you don't know, we've talked about this in our past shows. Kyle and his wife watched every single minute of the show. And absolutely.
Dude, I called it. I called it from the very get-go. I was like, this dude's going to be the winner.
He said that he called it, and he was pulling for him, I guess, the whole time.
Yeah, most definitely.
So I told him he could ask the majority of the questions, and
I don't have to ask the majority.
But I know his wife's listening too.
Yeah.
So I can't wait any longer. Let's get Alan on the line with us. Alan, are you there?
I am. How are you doing?
Great, Alan. It's awesome to hear your voice.
Absolutely. I'm really disappointed, Alan. I didn't get to meet you at prepper camp, and you had to put up with Forrest the entire time.
Yeah, I did.
Well, Alan, his big old smile came on his face as soon as your voice came on the line. So it's awesome. Thank you for being on with us. And I did meet you at prepper camp, and prepper camp was pretty awesome. And you walking around was just it was just awesome. I don't know how to explain it. How did you enjoy prepper camp?
It was good. I stayed pretty busy. I had lots of classes going on, so I didn't have a lot of downtime other than in the evenings, sitting around Dutch Oven Doug's fire and sampling all of his culinary masterpieces that he cranks out. That's one of the highlights at prepper camp. He's known for that.
Oh yeah, there's a guy that cooks for like a lot of the speakers. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, sweet.
So I do have to ask you, since Kyle is forgoing his conspiracy theories, this week, are you a conspiracy theory kind of guy or not really?
I don't know. A lot of what has been known formerly as conspiracy theory is actually conspiracy fact. So, I think most of it has been disproved. So, I don't know. There's always something going on, people talking about this or that. I try to stay focused on the things that I can control instead of running down all these rabbit holes. No matter what it is, if it's an EMP or if it's the North Koreans or the Chinese or a financial collapse, you're going to have water, shelter, fire, food, and protection, and that's what you should focus on instead of, worrying about all these different rabbit holes. Right.
Well, Kyle likes to keep up with him. I think he said an amen silently when you said that. When you said that but they all come true at some point. So that's pretty awesome. So one of my first questions, these are basic questions for you, and we're so excited that you're here. But how did you get into survival and to this prepping kind of lifestyle?
I've always had an interest in just self-sufficiency, and I think from a young age I had an awareness of how out of whack our world is and how out of balance we are. And when you look around at modern man, we're one of the only things in nature that cannot sustain our own life in our given environment. So we've actually devolved to a point where we're just kind of artificial life forms. And I've always sought to kind of reconnect with what it is to be a human on the earth and to master those basic living skills and keep that alive.
Very cool. So, Alan, how long would you really say you've been a prepper?
Hey, let's take a quick break.
Are you a prepper or homesteader looking to connect with like-minded people in your area? Looking to start your own preparedness group? Already have a group? Well, look no further than PrepperNet. PrepperNet is dedicated to personal responsibility, individual freedoms, and being self-reliant. PrepperNet has monthly meetings in over 100 cities where you can meet and learn with like-minded people in your area. PrepperNet, where preppers unite. Find us online at preppernet.com.
Probably my whole life. I mean, I've always had that mentality, and the word prepper is something that it's kind of new to me, and I guess it's gone mainstream, and rightly so. And in some circles, the term has negative connotations, but when you really think about it, the Native Americans were preppers. I mean, they didn't wait until they needed a fire and go rub sticks together. They would have it prepped ahead of time. They carried tinder with them. They would make stone tools ahead of time and hide them in different places in the woods. And in the not-too-distant past in the United States, when we were a largely agrarian society, we would store food for the winter. We would put up for a rainy day. And the last couple of generations, it seems like we've gone away from that, and we're just living a really out-of-balance, right-on-time, instant gratification kind of lifestyle. And our supply lines in this country and our life patterns are just so fragile that we really don't have any resiliency or redundancy built into our systems.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a throwaway society. Instant gratification pretty much covers it all. Was there anyone that really helped shape that worldview for you as you were growing up?
Not really any one person in particular. I mean, I remember at a young age, I looked at the Boy Scout handbook, and on the cover it said, "Be prepared." And I was like, okay, got it. And I just kind of, that summed it up. Be prepared, be ready. And I think that's just a responsibility that goes with being a human. I mean, we have certain needs. We take out insurance on our car. We take out insurance on our home. I mean, why would you not take out insurance on being able to eat a week from now, or being able to stay warm, if the power goes out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it amazes me that they say people have 3 to 7 days worth of food, and that might be pushing it. But that amazes me that we're so reliant on the grocery store, the gas station. I mean, all these, get it today, use it today, and tomorrow do it all over again.
Yeah, it's great if you have some of the latest technology, the iPhone 7, etc. But what happens whenever you're unemployed and you have no food? At least if you're a prepper, you hopefully have food stored away, even for that rainy occasion.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a really specific question because, as Forrest said, and I said at the very beginning, whenever I saw you on the show, I mean, my wife and I, obviously, it was a new show coming on, and I pretty much called it from the get-go. I was like, there was something about your personality. I'm like, this guy, he's definitely got it. I'm happy. I always love saying I was right, so that worked out well for me. But your mindset the entire time was so solid. You stayed sane really, really well. Was there anything in particular that really helped you maintain that focus?
Not really. I mean, I might outwardly appear sane, but the truth is, inwardly I was already nuts, and so I didn't really have anything to lose. And I just went out there and did it, and I didn't have a clue. A lot of people say that. They say, "Oh, we knew you were going to get it," and I really didn't have a clue. I stepped off on the island out of the helicopter and thought, what have I gotten into? And I just kind of took it day by day, and honestly didn't think that I would be the last one. I didn't know how long I might be there. But I just took it one day at a time, and I didn't try to, look at the whole thing. I just took it. Sometimes to get through a day, I had to take it in pieces, just look at my most pressing need and just focus on that one thing and stay in the moment.
I think it's funny because it's actually what kind of made me say you were going to win. Is, people typically look at me and they're like, dude, you're nuts. But then other people who are kind of like that, they kind of get that survival crazy vibe that goes on. That it's
no, you're nuts.
Yeah. But maybe that's why I kind of identified. Yeah. So maybe that's what it is.
Hey, I saw one of the videos that you did after, I think for the History Channel, and one of the viewers asked you, how long were you planning on staying there? And it amazed me when you said, well, a year. Tell me about that. I mean, really, you thought you were going to be out there a year?
I was going to try for it. I was going to shoot for that, but realistically, would that happen? I don't know. I had just determined inside myself that I was going to go until I hit my wall, whatever that was. I was just going to go until I couldn't go anymore. And until that happened, I was just going to keep it on, putting one foot in front of the other.
Gotcha.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So in a couple of the videos, we watched, you talk about your faith. Where did that come into play for you while you were up there? Because I imagine, being up there by yourself, I often think to myself, I've worked in retail for 17 years, being surrounded by people, and I'm like, dear God, drop me off on an island and leave me there for 10 years, and I just want to be by myself. So where did your faith kind of come into play there? Because I'm sure you're probably put in a position where you kind of end up wrestling with God a little bit because that's all you got. It's just you, your mind, your faith, your worldview. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, the woods have always kind of been my church, and it does boil you down to your essence. All the masks that we wear, all the BS that we tell ourselves and each other, and even worse, we believe some of that stuff that we try to tell ourselves. It doesn't work out there. It will boil you down to your essence. You will deal with your demons and all of that stuff. And I think that's ultimately what breaks a lot of people in that type of scenario, in a lone survivor type situation. You don't have any of the trappings or the distractions. And so all the stuff that we repress and that we don't want to deal with, it comes to the forefront, and you will do business with it. And so that's really psychologically where a lot of the battle is. A lot of people can't exist in silence for long periods of time. If you watch them, they can't go more than a few minutes until they got to pull the phone out or turn the radio on. I even know some people that have to turn the fan on to be able to sleep. They have to have that background noise.
Yep.
It's the rare person that can just sit in silence and just be. And that's really one of the keys to survival by yourself in a situation like that, is the ability to just kind of put everything in neutral and just simply exist.
That's why Forrest isn't going to make it without me. He texts me every night, dude, I can't sleep, No,
man, come on. Well, so would you say, on a percentage scale of 100, what is mindset and what is skills for the show?
Well, I think at different times it changes. Initially when you're dropped off, you do have to be on your A game. You've got to go out and scout for resources. You've got to make some really solid decisions. You've got to locate water. You got to get your shelter figured out. You've got to locate your resources and kind of figure out where all that's going to happen. And then your shelter has to be put kind of at the epicenter of where all that's happening. If it's too far from the water, you're going to burn too many calories. And if it's too close to the water, that's usually not good either. Because then you got animal issues, insect issues. And if it's moving water, then the sound of the water will overpower other sounds that maybe you need to be aware of. So, the first, 3 days is very much the stuff that you see in the survival manuals, building a shelter and finding the water and doing all these things. And then after about a week or so, you're constantly improving your situation and things start to level out about maybe 2 weeks in. And then it's just like any other life anywhere in the world. You settle into patterns of life. You wake up, you do X, Y, Z, wash, rinse, and repeat. So early on, skills are heavier, I think, in the percentage. But the longer you're out there, it flips, and I would say it's 90% psychology, and then maybe just 10% skills at that point. Because if you've made it that long, you certainly have the skills and the physical part figured out. But in the long term, what survival will boil down to is psychology and calories. If you can get enough calories to exist and you can keep your mind straight, then you'll make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have to say, I mean, as much as I wanted you to win, it was kind of poetic. I think the other contestant's name, was it Sam, the younger guy who was there with you? I think he was like one of the last ones. And you seen that gradually start to kind of slip. And he was so rock solid for a while, but maybe like those last 2 weeks or so, his mind was more focused back on, his wife, upcoming, like his kid on the way, stuff like that. And
he lost it then.
Yeah.
Yep. Were you concerned about the animals, the wild animals at all?
No, and a lot of people, based on what you see on TV, what makes it through, they say, well, you really have a lot of animal issues or animal encounters. And my third night there, I had wolves come around. They were kind of circling my shelter and scratching around outside and sniffing, literally just feet from my head on the other side of my lean-to wall there. But I didn't feel threatened by it. It wasn't like they were trying to eat me or anything. They were just trying to see who moved into the neighborhood. It was more like, hey, who's the new guy? And
right.
So, I didn't react to it in a way that was fearful or anything like that. I just kind of stayed still in my shelter, let them do their thing, and then they went on their way. And I had a bear that lived about 100 yards or so from my shelter. He had a den up on the hill, which was the most prominent terrain feature in my area. And we would meet each other from time to time going to water, but there again, it was nothing threatening. We just kind of looked at each other and moved on. So a lot of it is just, it was all harmonious. I didn't really feel threatened. A legitimate concern up there was the cougar. That's one of the cougar attack capitals up there. If you want to get eaten by a cougar, that's a good place for it to happen. So,
Kyle, maybe you
really,
should go.
Yeah. You really had to be careful and not create patterns, because they're really, really patient. They'll watch you, and they'll calculate how best to ambush you. So I did a lot of things to be really safe as far as that goes, and countermeasures. And the way that I handled my food, I was really disciplined about, leaving the scent of food down on the beach and over in my second camp where I cooked at, and never where I was going to sleep.
Recall that. You mean you didn't want to make a hat with eyes on the back? I think there was a contestant who did that, wasn't there? Put eyes on the back of his hat to make it look like.
Yeah.
That was Lucas. I remember the night he did that. He was sewing them on, and it's a valid tactic, really. I mean,
yeah.
There's some people do that.
It's kind of crazy.
I had even thought about it at one point. I thought, yeah, what's it going to hurt? But,
yeah, I was a little surprised some of the contestants didn't spend more time, because I know Lucas in particular, I mean, I think he built a raft. He was trying to build possibly like a little cabin. I was kind of surprised that some of them didn't spend more time on shelter and do something a little bit more hardened, particularly if you were planning on being there even up to a year.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I had a lot of big ideas about what shelter I might do, and I had all these designs and mental images, and then as soon as you get up there and see the enormity of the task, all of a sudden it's like, no, lean-to will work.
Yeah.
I ended up being in a lean-to that was probably 8 or 9 feet long by maybe 5 or 6 feet wide, and that was it. And that's one common mistake too, even in a longer term situation. When you think in terms of shelter, you don't need the Taj Mahal or some big cabin or anything. Think more in terms of a glorified sleeping bag. You want it really, really tight, really snug, and no bigger than what it has to be. It's just basically a place to lay down. And you want to conserve your energy in that regard too, because there's so many other things that you have to do.
Did your shelter inside your lean-to, did it stay dry the entire time?
Dry is a relative term in British Columbia.
Okay.
There are just various degrees of dampness. And it was moderately damp at times. We got something like 14 feet of rain that year. It was crazy up there. I mean, I've never seen rain like that. So even if it was watertight from the standpoint of things actually leaking or dripping through, just at some point water was going to find its way in. That's just how it was up there. But, where I actually slept, yes, it was dry. But just like 2 feet away from the edge of my body, there was a spot of my shelter that stayed fairly wet. And at times there were icicles hanging in there.
Oh, holy cow. I saw that you did say that you wished you would have bought a different sleeping bag system. So there were some cold nights, I guess.
Yeah, and the worst kind of cold, too, is just that wet cold, that real penetrating type of cold. So, and at one point when the storm cycles came, we had winds in excess of 65 miles an hour. I mean, it was crazy. So, yeah, something more like the MSS, that has the Gore-Tex shell, the 3-bag system, would have been more appropriate in an area like that.
Yeah, is that the military?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So one of the things I was thinking about when watching this, I was kind of surprised whenever season 2 came up and they went straight back to the same area. Do you think there would have been another area that could have been potentially more of a challenge for contestants, or do you think that's pretty much like that should be the status quo for the show?
Well, I guess you could drop them in the Arctic, but as far as challenging, that was pretty dang challenging in that area, I don't know. I'm excited though. They've got another season coming up. Season 3 was actually in Patagonia.
Oh yeah.
And
okay.
I've never had the opportunity to operate in that environment, and so it'll be interesting to see how it's different there. What's more advantageous about that location? What's more challenging about that location? So that's neat. And I've heard that season 4 is going to happen. There's not been any disclosure yet as far as location, but it's exciting to see that it's going on. I mean, they really raised the bar with this show alone because, there's no drama built into it. It's like, here's a camera and here's a sat phone and go until you want to quit and then call us, and that's that. And they kick you out.
That would be the hardest thing, I think, is filming yourself every day while you're struggling for food, you're struggling for, with sleep, that you've got to remember the entire time that you're on the show.
I think that's one of the things I loved about the show is you look at, Lee Stroud, who was on for a long time, and, versus someone like Bear Grylls who is traveling around with his own little crew. And I mean, that's great and all. We get to see everything and dude drink his pee and whatever. But here was Lee Stroud, wandering up in, the Burrell Forest by himself.
Right.
And it's definitely, you appreciate that more.
So would they have solar panels to charge your batteries? Is that what they had? And you had to manage the equipment, keep it dry?
Yeah, we had a Pelican case that was stocked full of gear. We had batteries that are about the size of a smartphone. And you would plug your wire into that USB port on one end and then your camera on the other end, and it would charge the battery. And then when the battery or the camera was charged up, it would shut off. And so, I got sometimes 3 and 4 days out of just one of the batteries, and I had a pretty good stack of batteries, so it was enough to do quite a while. And then you could always get a supply drop. They would leave batteries and things for you down at the shoreline. If you needed a resupply, you could get that. So, the psychological isolation is something that had never been done before. And that's really one of the things that came out, and I think that's probably why they ended up arriving at the final name Alone, because that was the overwhelming factor, was the fact that you're doing this alone. You're by yourself. And that really, the psychological part of it is probably one of the hardest parts, and it's one of the things that hasn't really been fully explored before for television. And having to film it, as you mentioned, it was challenging because it burns a lot more time, a lot more energy, and a lot more calories than just going out there and doing your thing. You're having to self-document this thing. So it was really challenging. And the other thing is, in other contests, you have a fixed number of days in your mind. You're like, I've only got to do this for 7 days, and then I get to go home and eat pizza or whatever. Or I've only got to be here for 20 days or 30 days. And we didn't have a fixed number. It was just, and as the people drop, you have no idea if there's 2 guys out there or 10 guys out there. You have no idea. And so there's all this this unknown stuff. You don't know what's happening in world events. You don't know what's happening at home with family or friends or any of that. And that's a whole different level in addition to all of the other stuff, cold, wet, hungry, and that type of thing.
Yeah, that would definitely get to me over time. I just got back from camping with a friend for just 2 days, and after a day, it's kind of nice, and you don't have any internet, and you're thinking there's no signal or anything like that. It's kind of good. And then by day 2, you're kind of like, crap, I need to check my Drudge Report and my Zero Hedge and, everything like that. One of the things I was thinking about, too, is, kind of when we were talking here at the beginning, you do kind of have that crazy vibe going for you. But was there anything that you were thinking after the show's over, you submitted all your footage, they have everything. Was there anything you were thinking, oh, crap, why did I record that made it to the show? Because, you were singing, you were recording poetry. It was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, people watching it could say, hey, he's losing it. But actually, that's how you keep him sane.
Yeah. But, a lot of the guys that know me back home when the show did air and some of that stuff came out, they were like, yeah, that's him. That's definitely not acting. That's really him. But, no, I didn't. Part of it was we had to be vulnerable. And we had to kind of suspend our ego. That was part of the whole thing, is realizing that your ego is not your amigo, and you just need to go out there and do it and keep it real and be real. And I had determined early on I was going to do that. And if I want to break down and cry about something, I'm going to do that. I filmed all of it, and whatever they wanted to take, they could take it, and I was cool with it. So I really didn't have an agenda as far as how I wanted to be portrayed or how people might view me. I just went out there to do this thing, and I wanted to do it as openly and honestly as I could.
Awesome. Hey, we have a online chat room that's going on, and we've got a few questions, if you don't mind me asking you a few questions. One is, how about bugs and chiggers and things like that and spiders? Did you just live with them and enjoy them?
We were pretty much non-existent because the weather was so terrible. They had all flown south for the winter. They were gone.
They were gone. Okay. Another question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
Okay. Another question is, if they had an all-star show, would you be on it? They brought back the best of the best, like season 5. Would you do it again?
I don't know. This conversation's come up in other circles a number of times. People have thrown that out there that, what if we got everybody, or even I had the idea, what if they let the audience vote people back on, and choose their 10 favorite people, because every season we're going to get 10 new people to choose from, I don't know. I guess I'll have to make that decision when and if that time ever comes. I'm at a different place in life now. You're constantly changing and constantly doing different things, and part of it, I guess, would just depend on that. So I really couldn't give you a solid yes or no. I just have to revisit that.
Okay. 2 more questions real quick before we go to commercial break. One is, they don't let you know when someone drops off, so you have no clue how many other contestants. Is that correct?
That's correct. And
okay.
I wish they would change that. I always thought it should be like what's the movie Hunger Games, where you get this cannon go off, and you're like, and you see their picture up in the sky or something. That would be neat.
So you can see who you're up against. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think that was a good part of it, because I was blown away when they came to get me. After 56 days, in my mind, I was sitting there thinking, okay, we've probably got like 6 guys left. That's the number I had in my mind.
Gotcha.
I thought there were 6 people still out there. And little did I know that was it. So you really have no way. So it's the psychology really weighs into this huge. It's, like I said, after a while, it's probably 90% of that whole experience was psychological.
Another question from the chat room was, what would you do different?
I was pretty happy overall with, that's one thing that experience did for me, is it validated my my survival strategies and the things that I've always done and taught people to do. I got a chance to go really test them in an environment that I didn't know a thing about. That place was totally foreign to me. And so I just stuck with the basics, and that all worked out. You know, like I've said before, the only two things that I would change were probably related to my equipment. And I would have taken different boots, you know, something with more insulation, just for the prolonged periods of cold. My feet weren't wet, but they were cold for long periods of time. And then, like I've said about the sleeping bag, I would have went with the better one, you know, because I didn't realize I was going to spend 5 days straight in it during these storm cycles that were pretty gnarly up there. But
Right.
You know, overall, I really wouldn't change much. I would have stayed pretty much with my tactics.
That's awesome. Hey, Alan, stay with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Again, you're listening to the Prepping Academy, and we'll be right back.
Old Dr. Bones here, and I want to know that you're prepared to deal with injuries and illness in any disaster scenario. What would you do if modern medicine was no longer available? The second edition of the Survival Medicine Handbook is over 550 pages of how-to advice for the non-medical professional. Don't forget, Nurse Amy and I have a whole line of medical kits, suture stapling materials, instructional DVDs, and other items that'll help you keep it together even if things fall apart. Check us out at doomandbloom.net.
Will the government protect your family from Iran and North Korea's newest weapon, EMP? We buy guns to protect ourselves, home, health, and car insurance for accidents. Maybe you also have food storage. But how would you keep your refrigerator running in a long-term EMP blackout? Using tested military designs, the Solark EMP-hardened solar generator protects and powers your critical appliances for years without burying items underground or wrapping them in aluminum foil. Unlike other preps, Solark is used every day to help offset your electric bill automatically. Visit PortableSolarLLC.com to learn how easily expandable the system is. Solark is the most affordable and powerful solution on the market. The whole system even fits in the back of a pickup or SUV and can install in less than an hour. See for yourself why Solark beats other off-grid systems at PortableSolarLLC.com. Don't wait for the government. Go to PortableSolarLLC.com to learn why Solark is energy insurance for your family.
Hey, want to get the best deals possible on preparedness items locally and online? Check out the American Preppers Network Buyers Club membership, APN Gold. APN Gold members get exclusive benefits, including access to discounts and specials to the best preparedness stores on the web. Save big by getting APN Gold today, online at apngold.com or dial 1234-JOIN-APN. That's 1234-JOIN-APN or apngold.com.
We have exciting news. You can now afford to have your own freeze dryer. That's right, for the first time ever, it's possible to have a freeze dryer in your home. It was invented right here in America by Harvest Right. With this new appliance, you can freeze dry your own food and it will last 25 years. Imagine freeze drying fruit, vegetables, meat, and your own homemade meals. It's as easy to use as a microwave. Learn more about this amazing home freeze dryer at harvestright.com. Again, that's harvestright.com.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are with Alan Kay, the season 1 winner of the history show Alone, which was a great show, just a great show. Here, I thought if I went on the show, because I didn't apply for that show, and I'm glad I didn't. They probably wouldn't have picked me anyway. But I thought that I would take the. I think they have a satellite phone. I would be calling like Amazon Prime, and have the drone. The drone drops right there on the beach, and just not film that. Would that work? Would that work?
Yeah, the drone would have probably picked up the bear eating you as it flew away. That footage.
I would order some Legacy or something like that food.
Yes.
So, did you actually see any other human beings while you were there, Alan?
No, I didn't, and you wouldn't be able to use the satellite phone that way. That would get you booted off. You only had you only had 3 numbers programmed into the thing. You know, it was like the producer and the medic and somebody else. You know, and that was it. It was like you could call for a pizza. You know.
Yeah.
And
that was the first thing you did.
Yeah.
And human contact is immediate disqualification. So. You would have to avoid that as well. And you're
so
wearing
you
a
didn't
little
see anybody fishing out there or anything? Any boats or anything?
No, the only one thing that I did see is I saw a Canadian Coast Guard helicopter off, like way off in the distance, and the only reason I could tell what it was because they had the rescue basket attached to the side, and I was able to make out that silhouette along with the colors just enough that I could tell what type of helicopter it was.
Gotcha. So during that time there, I mean, obviously you got a chance to meet a lot of great guys who were up there with you. Was, you know, human nature, a lot of us tend to be very selfless. Was there anyone in the back of your mind that you were thinking, man, if I don't win, I really want this guy to win? Anyone you were rooting for?
Honestly, I was rooting for all of them. You know, it really didn't feel like a competition. I know that at the end of the day, it was. And I think the other guys would tell you the same thing. I mean, we really felt like we were competing against ourselves. And I feel like, you know, especially with season one, it just being a new thing, we wanted the opportunity to test ourselves. And we were there to do that as individuals, not to, you know, to try to win out against another guy. So that's really what it was for me, was a test. And I think when I've talked to most of the other guys, they felt the same way about it.
Right. Wait, I got a request to ask from you. When I was at prepper camp, one of the stories you told was the box story. Have anybody ever asked you to tell this again? Because that was one of the most talked about things around our campfire, is you talking about the boxes. And I would love to hear that whole scenario again, if you don't mind.
I may have to pass. I'm going to put that. I think I'm going to put that in a book I'm working on.
Oh, you're going to put that in the book? Okay, that'd be awesome. That's a great reason.
I may save that.
Okay, that's a great thing for people. Why people should buy your book, then? Because around our campfire, everyone was talking about that, and so for the next week or two, everything we referred to was the box kind of thing. So it was good. So you are writing a book. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, when I say I'm writing a book, I mean I'm really writing it old school. Like I have the number 2 pencil and the spiral bound notebook, and that's just. I mean, I guess you could get more old school if I had the quill and ink, but yeah, I'm really like handwriting this thing, and I'm going to hand it to somebody that knows how to type and let them print it out. We'll see what kind of form it takes. I've been working on it for a while, and I'll just let it take shape. And who knows? I mean, there's a lot of hurdles you jump through, but that's my intent, you know. And it's kind of would be a combination of telling the story of the experience up there with some survival takeaway, and as always, you know, some things in there to make people think. And that's a lot of what I do through survival training is to engage people and kind of make them reevaluate life and look at things and the things that we hold importance on, you know, and try to reprioritize some of that.
I've been doing a lot of that myself this past year. It's been an interesting year for me, but it's amazing how many things we cling to that are just so irrelevant. We think we change something. We think we have an effect on things, and it's not worth the time. And that's where, you know, I kind of fall back on survivalism, the prepping, and everything like that. And I'm looking at something, I'm saying, for the love of God, at least if I'm doing this, I'm helping other people. I'm doing something I'm passionate about, and it's life skills.
Yep.
So
now, Alan, you have a survival school yourself, don't you? Or you teach people. I know you today when we talked earlier, you said you were all day long training people. Is that correct?
Well, actually, today what I was doing is hanging out at the Cherokee County Fairgrounds, and I'll be there again tomorrow. They're having a type of a festival up there, and so I just teach and demonstrate survival skills and talk to people. And so I did 30 hand drill fires today, so there's no meat left on my hands. It's just raw. But, and I'll do the same thing tomorrow, and then I will not do a hand drill fire for at least a week and get my hands to catch up. But, you know, people really love that. There's something so primal and connecting about fire, especially the kids, instead of them just listening to you ramble on, you know, actually getting them involved, and they get to put their hands on something and just kind of pass that knowledge on. But, yeah, what I do is I teach people survival. That's what I do full time. So I do anything from Stone Age survival all the way up to preparedness. I do security assessments of the home. I train people also and unarmed combatives, edged weapons, firearms, just pretty much anything they want to learn.
Gotcha. Now, you said bow drill. I remember at prepper camp, your classes were more on not really survival. Well, one class you went over bug out bag, but is mindset. I can assure you, anyone out there that when he writes his book, his mindset, I mean, that is the key in survival. Absolutely. I mean, you can have all the skills. I mean, and what separated Alan from everyone else was the mindset and the ability to deal with really silence and no one else. And that, wow, that sometimes we pray for silence, but not like that.
Yeah, well, unless you work a lot of retail, then you do.
Yeah.
Trust me.
But in your book, are you going to hit a lot of the mindset and how to deal with the thing that is almost impossible to prepare for is the mindset and dealing with other people?
Yeah, I mean, I want to touch on some of that too, but really I think people think that it's unattainable or that it's some esoteric thing, and really it's not. There's nothing mystical about it. I think we tend to overthink it. And, even preparedness and survival in general, I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel here. Our forebears did it, or else we wouldn't be having this conversation. And if you look at our really ancient ones, they did it with a broken rock. So your modern prepper's like, oh, that's nice. What kind of knife do you got? And they're like, oh, I've got this kind of knife, and I spent $500 for it. And I'm like, well, that's nice, but your ancestors did it with a broken rock. So and they did better stuff than we can do, So it's really not about the... Yeah.
Kyle, what kind of rock you got there?
Cute.
Yeah, who made your rock?
Smith & Wesson.
Smith & Wesson.
So it's not about the stuff; it's about the skill set, like how do you apply what it is that you have, and being able to adapt to your surroundings and just make the best of it.
So your fellow showmates and maybe even season 2, do you keep in touch with them at all?
Yeah, I actually with season 2, those guys. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to. I talked to Nicole on the phone a couple times, and we've done some text messaging back and forth. I actually met Justin before the show aired and have seen him several times. Actually been in the woods with him some, and he's been here to my hometown, and he's a great guy. And I met David, and also I met Larry at the Blade Show in Marietta, and they're both awesome guys.
And you know Chris too, don't you? From season 1, yeah.
No, never heard of it.
Yeah.
No, yeah. One of the best players in the world. Yeah, I like Chris. Actually, he's got a nickname. I call him Cheeky. That's what I call him.
Cheeky.
Yeah, there's a story behind it. If you ever get a chance to talk to Chris, ask him about his nickname, Cheeky.
Well, he's going to be on our show on November 18th.
Yeah, ask him how he got his nickname, Cheeky.
Cheeky, okay.
Duly noted.
There's a story behind it.
Yeah, I'll ask him about that, and he'll know exactly where it came from, I'm sure. Because you guys, I think you were in the vendor row there. You guys were supposed to be right beside each other, but he had to leave.
Yeah, we usually do kind of bunk together. I actually just got off the phone with him before calling in to you guys, and we were working out some dates. I'm going to be doing some training for a couple groups down in Florida, so we were trying to hammer dates down about that. Yeah, he's good. I like his books, and I like him as a person. He's a good guy.
Well, yeah, and next week we're having Franklin Horton, which you've met. I guess you know him as well.
Oh, yeah, he's a buddy of mine too.
Yep. So we're hitting the big survival guy and then some authors. So
most definitely. So let me ask you. Go ahead.
What the authors are doing is really good too, because it's giving people that food. We're talking about the psychological and the mental stuff. So these books, even though they're fiction, they're kind of wargaming things, and they're giving people things to think about and scenarios to work through now. And that's really what you do. That's kind of what I did before I went to the island, is I wargamed it in my mind. What are the likely things I'm going to have to do up there? What are the best tools to take to do that? and what is it going to take from inside of me to achieve that? And so you kind of go there with that as your template. And so a lot of these authors, like Chris and Franklin, they're doing the good work because they're really causing people to stop and think about things. And who knows? I mean, it may actually be saving some lives because it might motivate people to take some actions now that'll put them in a better position to survive things that might lie ahead.
Yep, absolutely. That kind of leads into my question for you is, obviously we get into a lot of different things here on our show, and one of them being politics, very polarizing election season. But where do you kind of sit? Like, what's your outlook for the U.S. right now as it stands?
I think between politics and religion, you've got the leading cause of death historically worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
That sums up my political views. Really, and
yeah.
To tell you something else about politics, I don't believe that WWF wrestling is real, and for that same reason, I don't buy into the political theater. And I think it's a crock. It's a lot of BS, and I don't think it really matters, and I don't put any energy into it. What I do put energy into, and what does matter to me, is the people around me and my community, and I can teach them and I can invest in them. Now, that's something real. That's something tangible. And so I focus my energies there. The people in Washington are so far removed from the people on the ground level that, we speak different languages, actually. They can't relate to my life, and I can't relate to theirs. So we don't put any energy into politics. As far as our country, where I think it's heading, I think it's going straight down the drain. And I don't think it's something that we can really simplify and say, oh, it's because of this group or that group. Both groups, it's two different wings, but those wings are attached to the same bird, and that bird's flying in a given direction regardless of who's at the helm at that time. So, I think if you're a student of history and economics, you can look around in our country and you can see that, we're $20+ trillion in debt. Nobody recovers from that easily.
Right.
And then if you look at us in a social way, sociologically, we've got all of these tectonic plates and all of the social fault lines. There's wedges driven into all that. And you've got every group imaginable, pitted against each other, this group against that group. And there's all this social tension. And that's where I think we should be focusing our energy is get out there and talk to your neighbors. Get out in your community and try to work for some peace and some harmony at a local level.
Absolutely.
And I think to look at the world level or even the national level, I think it needs to be local. That's where I can really affect a change. I can go out there and look these people in the eye, shake their hands, talk to them, help them. Let's get to be in a community again to where if your neighbor needs something, you're there for them, and just build that rapport with your neighbors, build community.
Yep, start with your neighbors and in your community. Yep, that's some good advice. Hey, so how can people get in touch with you? How can people take your classes? How can they follow you on all the social medias? Tell us if you don't mind.
Well, I do have a website, but honestly, I don't know how to do a whole lot with it right now. It's just kind of there, and I'm not posting any classes on it. Mostly how my classes happen is people just call me, and I'll pull out the calendar and we book something. I do it that way. I don't have an agent or a secretary,
okay.
So the best way is just to call me, or shoot me a text or an email. And then on social media, I've got a Facebook page. The public page is Alan K. and a hyphen and then alone. And sometimes I do post some content on that Facebook page. I'll throw a video on there or something from time to time.
Okay. And any shows you're going to here in the next few weeks or months? Because I know you're kind of on the road show. Any coming up?
Yeah, I'm mostly just going to be teaching. I've got lots of classes coming up the next couple months. So it's just going to be out there in the woods training pretty much.
Okay. And you going to come back to Prepper Camp next year?
I plan to. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
And life skills, you're going to do life? Is that that's coming up in the spring, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's usually can't remember which dates it falls on, but yeah, I'm usually there. I usually teach edible and medicinal plants there. That's actually where the show got started for me, is I bumped into Chris there, Chris Weatherman, and he told me about the show, and I expressed a little interest and thought it might be neat, and I didn't think any more about it, and he gave my contact info to the casting company, and it kind of went from there.
Awesome.
Very cool.
That was up in Clyde, North Carolina or somewhere. I forget where that is. So anyway.
It's Waynesville.
Waynesville. That's right. Waynesville, North Carolina. So what's next for Alan?
I don't know. I often ask myself that. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I guess I'm just going to keep teaching because that's always been where my passion is. And, you know, there's not many people out there that do what I do, in the sense that, you know, I'm pretty much broad spectrum. It's kind of one-stop shop, and I do everything from Stone Age primitive survival all the way up to, you know, the more modern stuff, and even discussing things like community security and helping people plan for that, and the communications and the intelligence portion of it, which have you ever heard of Sam Culper? You ever met him?
He was my suite mate, or if you remember, right at camp. He was right beside me.
Yeah.
I
usually, when people get into the intel part, I'll have a discussion with it, but I usually pass them along to him, and I highly recommend his book. I mean, there's really nobody out there doing the work that Sam does. He's really filling a void out there that I think a lot of people overlook.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I got his book, and I'm going to try to get him on the show as well. And he does a great podcast. He just released another one, I think, this week that I listen to all the time. So, well, Alan, our time is up with you, and it's been a pleasure having you. Kyle probably won't be able to sleep for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, honestly, it was very nice. It was honestly humbling. It's great to talk to a fellow American who's so philosophical and in touch with reality, as opposed to talking to Forrest all day.
Can't be that bad.
Yeah, see, it can't be that bad.
You know what? I'll let it slide. He did meet you, so.
But it's been great having you, and we look forward to what you have coming down the line in the book. I will be one of the first people in line on Amazon or wherever to buy the book, and I hope to see you at the Family Life Skills this spring. And I'll bring Kyle there so he can meet you and his wife. His wife is probably going nuts. But thank you for coming on with us and spending your evening with us and answering some of the questions from us and some of our listeners. We really appreciate it.
Definitely.
It's been a pleasure, man. I look forward to seeing you again.
Yes, you take care. Thanks a lot.
All right, see you, buddy.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow, what do you think of that, Kyle?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
He's the winner, man, and it's all. His mental game is where it's at. I mean, everyone there was a survival expert.
Yeah, there's no brain fog there. It's just clear, consistent thought.
I got to memorize some poetry. I mean, that's all I got to do. And
you're not. That's what you call a Renaissance man.
Oh,
that's what you call.
So I just can't. I just can't memorize a bunch of poetry and win. No.
Maybe he lulled the bears to sleep or something like that. Maybe that's how that worked.
Well, we spent the whole show with Alan, so that was kind of what we planned to do anyway.
Absolutely.
No conspiracy theory, but we got about a minute left. Hey guys, I want everyone to go over to Prepping Academy. Join in our contest we're having. We're giving away like
tack bars, Sawyer water filter,
solar from Sunjack.
Yep.
And so go over it, and all we require is your email address, and that enters you into the contest. It also puts you on our mailing list. Don't forget, we got Frank Horton, the author of the Borrowed World series, next week, 9:00. 9:00 Eastern Standard Time. That's and then November 18th, we got Chris, one of Alan's good friends, Angry American. He wrote the Going Home series. And then on December 2nd, we have Ross from Survival 401k. It's going to be a financial show. We're doing a financial thing at November here at the Carolina Preppers in Charlotte, North Carolina, on the upcoming economic collapse.
Hey, it's a good time to buy silver too. So
good time to buy silver.
I know. Bought more today.
He bought more. Yeah, Kyle bought some today. Guys, it's been a pleasure again. And you guys, hey, if you're anywhere in the Carolinas, go over to the preppersnetwork.com. And what that is, we have meetups throughout the Carolinas that go on monthly that you can join in a group, learn, and get to know people. That's kind of the biggest thing, the Carolinas Prepper Network. We're on Facebook at Carolina Preppers Network, or you can go to meetups, any of the meetup groups, and find us there. That's at preppingacademy.com. You can get all the information. Hey, Kyle, thanks for a good show, man. Good questions.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Today's broadcast has come to you through the courtesy of the Prepper Broadcasting Network. See our hosts, show schedules, archived programs, and more at prepperbroadcasting.com. Thanks for listening.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can seem intense. Like breakup R&B intense.
I thought you said you loved the sweater that I got you. If you didn't, you could have told me.
Geico makes it easy. Just go to Geico.com anytime to update or check your policy without all the extra drama.
I even had a gift receipt.
Run to Old Navy right now to get 30 to 50% off all jeans and all sweaters for everyone in the family. Pair your favorite jeans with any of Old Navy's stylish sweaters and get 30 to 50% off from top to bottom. Every pair of jeans is on sale, including Old Navy Rockstar jeans, and so are the season's best sweaters. All jeans and all sweaters are 30 to 50% off, now at Old Navy or OldNavy.com. But you better hurry, this deal won't last. Run to Old Navy, valid 11/2 to 11/8.
Has your data been hacked? Do you feel uneasy about the vulnerability of your personal information online? Were you involved in the Target, LinkedIn, or Microsoft data leaks? Don't know? If not, then pay attention. Join Forrest Garvin from PrepperNet for a free webinar on privacy and security. Gain insights into safe internet browsing, VPNs, crafting online aliases, secure emails, detecting if your data has been hacked, and managing passwords. Secure your spot today for this webinar on privacy and security. It's free. This webinar delves into comprehensive strategies for bolstering your online privacy. We've got you covered, from fortifying your passwords to shielding your financial information and mastering state-of-the-art encryption techniques. We're offering 2 convenient dates to suit your schedule. Reserve your spot now at preppernet.com/privacy. Don't let cyber threats erode your peace of mind any longer. Take the first step toward a safer, more secure online experience by joining us for our free webinar. Remember, knowledge is power when it comes to safeguarding your privacy. Sign up now at preppernet.com/privacy. We'll see you there.